There are three possible methods by which the communists might take us over. One would be by a peaceful coup d'etat, as in Czechoslovakia in 1948. The second method would be by fomenting civil war in this country and aiding the communist side with military might. But there is a third method, which they are clearly relying on most heavily. And this is taking us over by a process so gradual and insidious that communist rule is slipped over so far on the American people before they ever realize it is happening. The process in that direction is going on right now, gradually but surely, and with ever-increasing spread and speed. A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. But another part is the conversion of the United States into a socialist nation, quite similar to Russia itself in its economy and political outlook, before police state enforcement is ever introduced. The best way to explain the aim here is simply to quote the directive under which some of the very largest American foundations have been secretly but visibly working for years. This directive is so to change the economic and political structure of the United States that it can be comfortably merged with Soviet Russia. Now, here are the communist aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2, higher and then much higher taxes. 3, an increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. 4, wild inflation of our currency. 5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6, greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied naturally and automatically by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. 7, far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. 8, the steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. 9, a constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace. Peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government, which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself. In summary, gentlemen, we are losing, rapidly losing, a Cold War in which our freedom, our country, and our very existence are at stake. And while we don't seem to know we are losing this war, you can be sure the communists do. There is just one thing, only one thing in the whole world which the communists fear today. It is that despite their tremendous influence in our government and over all of our means of mass communication, the American people will wake up too soon to what has really been happening and what is now happening right under their very noses. The only thing which can possibly stop the communists is for the American people to learn the truth in time.
So wow, you're probably thinking, oh, is that some guy talking yesterday? No, that was a long time ago. And as he was going through his 10 things, you're going to want to watch that again. After this show, you're going to want to rewind and go, that is exactly what is happening right now. That every single word number 1 through number 10. That guy, in case you don't know him, let me bring this up. His name is Robert Welch, actually Robert Welch Jr. He was a businessman, American businessman, who later formed something called the John Birch Society. And the John Birch Society was a think group, a think tank that talked about how we can preserve American life and preserve the American ideology. And there's people like him, I'm sure there's many of them who have outlined specifically, one after the other, what the communist plan actually is. And the reason why it was so easy is because everything that Karl Marx said, everything that Lenin did, we could actually put a playbook together, just like they did. We understand this is what they want to do. This is what they've always wanted to do. There's no secret here. The thing is, Americans used to be awake. Americans used to be able to look at things and go, I see what this idiocy is, and I'm not for that, and I'm going to make sure that we don't ever do that. Except we acquiesced the entire educational department to communist. And they've continued to raise and raise and raise kids who are lockstep zombies doing what they asked them to do. If you hear this new thing that's, and I say new, we had a president, when they talk about, what do you do for a living? I'm a community organizer. What do you put together camping trips for kids? A community organizer became president of the United States. That was my wake-up call. I'm like, there's something wrong here. You've got no work history. You've never done anything in life except be an activist and cause problems. That's it. That was the complete resume. And now as you look and see what these people that Mandami, he didn't hire, but the people that Mandami backed, it's exactly the same thing. They have no work history. They haven't done anything. They haven't accomplished anything. And now these people are going to be in our government. These people are going to be the ones trying to enact laws and policy based on the fact of nothing. And the people in New York didn't react fast enough. The people in New York didn't understand, didn't care, didn't think it was possible. And now they've got all kinds of crazy stuff happening up there. And Mandami's not going to stop. He's going to continue to put a stake in the heart of the biggest city in the country. And people are letting it happen. And the reason why I'm talking about it, so much the last couple of days is you need to understand what to look for. Understand these people are serious. They are organized. They're funded. They mean it. They're taking it to their heart in terms of what they want to do for people like you and me. We can no longer sit by and just watch it happen. And so some people have emailed me and texted me and said, so what do we do? Well, I think the first thing to do is to get educated. Understand what your opponent is doing. I'll go back to a sports analogy. When I was going to play somebody, just like anybody else is going to play somebody, you study film. You want to know every tendency. You want to know when he puts pressure on his fingers. You want to know when his head turns, what it means. You want to know what he had for breakfast. You want to know if he's having trouble with his girlfriend. You want to know everything about that opponent. So as soon as you are in a position to do something, you can react accordingly or be proactive and take advantage of the situation. Right now, if you don't know what these people are thinking, if you don't know what their game plan is, if you say to yourself, and I truly mean this, if you say to yourself, I don't want to hear that, you're done. They are going to run roughshod over you. You have to educate yourself. You have to educate people around you. This is something that most people haven't had to deal with their entire life. There have been crazy talks. Most of us lived through the 60s. I was a kid, so I didn't get to see most of that stuff. And, Kent State, where the shooting was, and all the stuff that happened with the Vietnam War. Well, these people took it to heart, and they had a plan that they executed for decades. And they couldn't get any traction because people were living lives. They weren't stuck on X and scrolling. And I don't think even during the 60s, I don't think people thought they were doomed. You see, the Flower Kids and the real summer of love back then, it was really a summer of love. They were humping everything they can get, popping as many drugs, doing whatever they need to do, but they weren't looking to feel desperate and hopeless. And I think the communists learned, what did we do wrong in the 70s? People would get high, they'd mess around with the other sex, and they'd listen to music, and they'd dance freaky, and then they'd go on with life. Don't know what they did, don't know where they worked, don't know how they did different things. Many of them became professors, many of them worked in business, but they didn't feel hopeless. And I don't think many of them, as they progressed, gave up on America. I didn't see many people, even when they had the commies and the peaceniks and everything else, we didn't see an entire mass of people, you can go back and look, that said to hell with it. In fact, just the opposite. Think of it in the music perspective. What happened? Well, you got Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and all the different songs that they did, and they went on tour, and they made a crap load of money selling records. Kind of hard to be anti-capitalist, anti-American when you're getting millions. Even people like Joan Baez, who was a staple of that flower child movement. She still stayed kind of crazy, but she was never hopeless. She sold a ton of records, made millions. And you can just go on and on. Santana, who I just went down to see, played Woodstock. Peace, bro, peace. Sold millions and millions and millions of records. Well, I can't do this anywhere else. This is pretty good. I'm getting a good life here. I used to think and used to feel a certain way, but now I'm worth $100 million, and I can say fight the people. Springsteen broke my heart. Bruce grew up going to Asbury Park, watching Springsteen. Rosalita, Jungle Land, just the songs that I grew up on. He made billions. He didn't think life was hopeless. Went down to the Jersey Shore. Obviously kept a lot of his craziness to himself, but wrote a song, born on a 4th of July and all that kind of stuff. Bono, all of them. They may have had some warped ideas, but they didn't give up on America. That America allowed them to thrive. I can sing about it, and I can hate it, and I can make millions, but wow, what a country. Now you've got a legion of kids who are truly socialists, who are truly on the borderline of communism, who have never done anything. They've never written a single song, never written a single album, never got a gold medal and stood up and held a black fist. There's no sense of accomplishment with any of these people. That difference is the catalyst for what they're doing now. You can't do anything. It's all somebody else's fault. It's the boomers' fault. You can't buy a house. You're stuck. Life is hopeless. There's nothing you can do, which is completely different than the peaceniks, which is completely different than the real summer of love people. Well, I don't know what these people are talking about. I sold 10 million albums. Remember, some of you guys may be basketball fans, but one of the biggest deadhead type people out there was a guy named Bill Walton. Bill Walton was one of the best centers in basketball. He had a lot of problems with his legs and feet, so he couldn't really get to where he wanted to go to, but he was amazing. Went to UCLA, then he played a bunch of teams in the NBA, made millions, And when he made his millions, then he got a job as one of the broadcasters and had a fantastic career. Stayed a nut, but made millions. There's no hopeless. There was no reason to be hopeless. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who used to be Lou Alcindor, changed his name, converted to Islam, but he was throwing those hook shots for 20, 25 years, made millions. Cassius Clay. Cassius. I'm going to convert. My name is now Muhammad Ali. Oh, okay. It must be really awful. Not that awful. How much you going to pay me to knock this guy out? Oh, I'm doing okay. Take a comparison. If I'm going to go back, and some of you guys may not know, there was an amazing Cuban boxer who I always thought could beat Muhammad Ali. His name was Teofilo Stevenson. But unfortunately, he lived in Cuba. And many people didn't get to see him fight, and he didn't get to make millions and millions. I often wondered, looking back, what he must have thought about Muhammad Ali, the activist, the guy who's not going to go in the draft. He's standing up for the people and then cashing those big-ass checks. See, that's the difference. If you look at these people right now who are carrying the banner of socialism and communism, they truly feel hopeless. They've never done anything. They've never accomplished anything. And then when they bring in their rich buddies who just somehow think that mom and dad made millions and I'm a trust fund baby, but I've never really done anything myself. This sounds good. Fight the people. Let's make it communism. Let's completely destroy America, even though my parents got rich in America, even though I'm a trust fund baby in America. I live in Park Avenue, but I understand what these people in Bed-Stuy feel like. No, you don't. You're playing Halloween. It's cosplay. You have no freaking idea what these people in Bed-Stuy. You have no idea what the people in the Bronx feel. You think you do. You think they all want free stuff. They don't know. And what's really unfortunate is I really believe a lot of people on the right don't know what they're looking at. And hopefully I've spurred some memories for you. And you think to yourself, yeah, these people were all what we would have called, when we grew up, we would have called them radicals. Even, what was her name? Angela Davis, the big giant afro. Well, Angela, she blew up stuff and then she wrote books. I'm like, well, I'm making money. These kids aren't doing anything. We're community organizers. What does that mean? What the hell? Are you getting paid for it? No. Okay, so I'm going to run for Congress. They're going to pay me $175,000 a year to try and be a radical. And the day I get sworn in, I am now different than the people I was organizing. Wait till they have to deal with that. Oh, you got money now. What are you doing? You're going to live with us? Oh, no, I'm going to get a nice townhouse someplace, where I can do a walk up and got 3 or 4 bedrooms. No, you're supposed to be with us. I don't think these people understand Bernie. I'm going to show you something about Bernie in a little while. Bernie, you're a man of the people. You're here for the cause. Except you got 3 houses and you got books. And you're now a millionaire to the point where you can no longer say millionaires and billionaires. These kids are completely hopeless. And I think one of the ways to beat this is to stop that in its tracks and begin to try and talk to some of these younger people and let them know they're not helpless. But I've got to tell you, I've tried. It's very hard. I got into a tete-a-tete today with somebody on X, and I think I'm at this point 500-0. Every time I wade into a conversation with these people and ask them to substantiate the stuff that they just spewed, they run. They either get mad, call names, and like, hey, what do you mean? So today, I had posted something And I'll show you what it is I posted, because it was very interesting when I brought it up. And it was indicative to me why some of these people are having so many problems. They don't understand that life on X isn't life in real life. Sorry for using the word life so many times there, but it needs to be said. So let me show you very quickly what I mean. This guy here, Dante, have no idea. He goes, I'm in New York for the weekend. Figured I'd try to catch England versus Panama World Cup match tomorrow. Just looked at the tickets. Never mind. It's $1,500 for the last row in the stadium. It's bonkers. What did you think you were going to do? Hey, we're in New York right now. We don't have anything to do tonight. Let's go see a World Cup match in New York City. What did you think you were going to pay? And he goes, honest question, no shade whatsoever. He meant this. How are these fans flying over here, staying for weeks, and affording these tickets to these games? And I just wrote this, and this is why people need to get off of X and stop listening to commie Democrats and the media, and understand, no, the world is not broke. The world is not destitute. Been telling everybody, and I'll say it again here, football season is happening in about a month if things start ramping up, and you're going to see stadium after stadium after stadium completely filled. Hundreds of thousands of seats in some of these stadiums. Filled. What you see with your eyes you can't look away. You can't look away from what you'll see tonight if you turn on one of these World Cup games. How in the hell are all these people affording these tickets? And the guy who posted this, when he posted it, he probably didn't realize he was letting all of us know you've been gaslit. You can't even understand that there are people out there who can afford $1,500 tickets, $5,000 tickets, $20,000 tickets. It doesn't even comprehend, because you have been told a lie. You have lived a lie. When the media constantly hammers it home, when the Democrats keep hammering it home, the working people can't afford to buy gas. The working people can't afford to buy groceries. Hey man, where are all these people getting this money? That's where we have to come in. We have to let these kids know you're not stuck. You are not stuck. There is opportunity. You just have to find it and understand you're being lied to. Yes, there are a whole legion of people who want to buy these tickets. And $1,500 for the last row in the stadium should have been a wake-up call. Should have said to you, wait a minute, these people in the nosebleeds are paying $1,500? Like President said about the New York Knicks game, when people on a plane asked him, how are people supposed to afford these tickets? Work hard, make money, that's life. These kids don't like life. They don't want to go through what you went through. They don't want to go through what I went through. It's easier to point a finger and blame us for not opening the door behind us, whatever the hell that means, and then to say we should do communism and socialism. Everybody should get a ticket. Everybody should have the right to sit courtside at the Knicks game. But as Trump said, that's not life. Not being able to sit there is real life. You didn't make the movies that Ben Stiller made. You didn't make the movies that Spike Lee made. You didn't sing the songs that Taylor Swift sang. You didn't catch the touchdowns that Travis Kelce caught. You didn't make the movies or do stand-up comedy like Billy Crystal or Jerry Seinfeld. You didn't do that. So you don't get the keys to that club. They're not given to you. Somebody needs to have a discussion with kids and tell them that. You have to, I can't even imagine how many times Jerry Seinfeld had to go and do stand-up in some little podunk club for year after year after year until one day he hit it. I can't even imagine, well, I can, in terms of a football player, working out, doing everything he possibly can do to one day sign a big contract. These kids don't want to sign the contract. They want it given to them. Call it a failure of their parents, call it a failure of their environment and their culture, but nonetheless, they are celebrating failure, and worse than that, they're wallowing in it. They're accepting that their lot in life is done. They're cooked at 19, 20, 21, 22. Can you imagine? Take yourself back to when you were 21 or 22. Did you feel your life was over? That there was nothing better you could do? That's where they are. Don't know how they got there, but we need to show them that there's a way out.